Welcome to the Lone Wolf Podcast. I'm Wolf, and I'm here today with my buddy Hill, and we're going to be talking about The Penguin, which it's off to a good start. I've heard really good things. I've watched the first 5 episodes, I think. I haven't watched the most recent one yet. I've been a little behind, been a little busy with some stuff, so I'll probably have to double dip this weekend, watch a couple of episodes, and I've got to say, Hill, man, I'm liking it. I'm really liking it so far. It picked up right where the Batman left off, and it's got that same tone, and I'm really enjoying it. What are your initial thoughts?
I'm in the same boat. I like the way it's going. Um, it's definitely different than what I thought it was going to be. I like it.
Yeah, when I first heard that they were doing a Penguin spinoff after the Batman, I was like, really? I was like, I was a little unsure about it. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it, but I wasn't expecting much. And after seeing, man, it still blows my mind that it's Colin Farrell under all that makeup and stuff. And
Oh yeah,
he was great in the movie, I thought. It's a little different take on the Penguin, but it's definitely
definitely.
leaps and
I like it
bounds.
though. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's still showing the differences, like that he's not, you know, crazy. He's just a guy that's trying to make something of himself when he was nothing.
right. And
You know, and
I like that they're going with the more gangster side of him rather than, I mean, the last time we saw a live action Penguin was well the
Danny
Gotham.
DeVito.
Right, I was thinking movies, but that show, the Gotham show.
Yes, yeah,
But yeah, Danny DeVito, and that is, they tried to make him an actual penguin almost in that. And, it's Tim Burton, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But man, I like that they're getting the more gangster side of him, because he does run a crime syndicate, and he is very smart, and he does not eat raw fish. And,
no,
he does
or
run
have Penguin in him, or
right. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And one thing about it that has continued on from the movie is, in the comics, Gotham City is almost alive, and it's almost its own character. And the biggest, not a problem with the movies, but one of the hardest things the movies have tried to do, and they've I don't know that they've tried to do it, but they've never really been able to capture Gotham City as its own, like, living, breathing character. And I feel like the Batman has come the closest. I really feel like it actually did it though. And the Penguin has just continued that, and it's great. I'm really enjoying it.
yeah, like I mean, it's really neat to see him creating something of himself. You know.
Right. And I like how it picked up right after the movie left off, and it's going to tie into the second movie. And I've heard that actually Clayface is going to be in the second movie, but he's not going to be a made of mud or whatever it is he's made of, and he's
Yeah.
going to be wearing masks like one of the original incarnations of the character. And we can talk about that in another episode, but apparently he's going to be getting his own spin-off series. So I'm very interested in that now. But yeah, I was a little hesitant about the Penguin series at first, because I wasn't sure how they were going to do it, what direction they were going to go. But honestly, man, it kind of reminds me, not entirely, but it's got that Sopranos feel to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like,
And
sorry, go
I
ahead.
like how he's adopting the kid, Vic, and everything. And it's kind of like him looking back as himself as a child.
Right.
You know, he sees himself in the kid.
Exactly. And like
he doesn't have anything, and he's trying to make a name for himself.
They've really, just like with Tony Soprano, it's like I've that documentary's out now, and they talked about how to make Tony Soprano likable, because if he's not likable and people hate him, they're not going to watch it, But and they created a good balance with him, and making him likable, but still making him the lead of a family. And terms escaping me right now. Terms always escape me when we start recording, but he's the head of the family. But I really feel like they've done that well with Penguin in this series. It's like, yeah, he's a gangster and he's a bad guy, and we're supposed to hate him because of that, and he's an adversary of Batman. But they've really done a good job of making him a sympathetic villain. They've given him the backstory with his mom and everything, and him coming from nothing. And he goes on that monologue in the first episode about the I forget the guy's name, but he's almost like hero worship, idolizes this dude, and he's talking about the parade. It's right before, and I should have mentioned this before we started, but there will be spoilers and about the series if you haven't seen it, and they start right now because he goes on this little monologue right before he kills what's the guy's name, Falcone's son, Ricardo.
Yep.
Yeah, right before he kills him, and you can just tell he like idolizes this dude, and like because the guy gave back to the community and he cared about people, and that's what Oz wants to be. That's what he's trying to do. He wants to be like that. He wants to be revered and be genuinely, I think, to a certain extent, cares about people because, like you said, he kind of took the kid under his wing, and Victor, and he is, like you said, kind of sees himself in him, and he's mentoring him, kind of almost a parental role model for him. And I really like that they've done that with him. I like that they've made us actually care about him rather than just seeing him as a ruthless villain the whole time. But he can still be a ruthless villain, like I said, just like Tony Soprano in The Sopranos. And that's really what reminds me of The Sopranos with this show.
Oh, definitely. I'm just curious if they're going to have Batman appear at all, because he is around, obviously, because it's taking place right after the first movie they did.
Right.
It's kind of crazy, that he's made it this far yet with no interruptions. So I kind of feel like he's not quite the villain yet that he's going to be, but he's making himself there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's getting to that point.
Right. Yeah, I would like to see a Batman cameo maybe at the in the last episode, but I like the focus of it being on him and on Sophia.
100%. I just, kind of wish that it was kind of like hinted upon or like,
right.
Little synapses, like where he'd go to like a meet and it was already taken care of, like someone was already disappeared because of the Batman,
Yeah,
like they haven't made him a figure yet at all.
Because in the movie, they shine the light in the sky, and he talks about fear and instilling fear in the villains, and I feel like they could have included that a little bit in the show, but at the same time, a natural disaster just happened in Gotham, and they make it clear at the beginning of the Batman that he can't be everywhere at once, and he uses they uses the shadows and the signal, and the villains, like one by one, they're all looking into the darkness and they get afraid and they run away. And a lot of times in like the comics and in other movies and in shows, Batman shows up at every single crime. It's almost like he's everywhere at once, and
he's everywhere once, which I know he has a lot more going on than what he portrayed, but I'm saying, like just like a hint, like a sign that he was there or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
because
the Batman was at this place, like leaving finding a bat wing or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And they mentioned him.
Rag,
Right. They mentioned him in the first, it's like in the first, like the news reports on in the first episode, and they mentioned him, and then he hasn't been mentioned since. But I kind of see why they did that, because they want it to be about Penguin. They want him to be a focal point, and if they keep mentioning Batman, everybody's gonna be like talking about Batman. It's like, well, when's he showing up? Exactly. When's he gonna be in it? But at the same time,
no, I get it.
It is set in the Batman universe in Gotham City, and
He
It,
supposedly knows everything going on in the city, So
right.
I'm just curious as to where it's going to go.
Obviously, though, after the movie, I would think Penguin would be on his radar, but like I just mentioned, a natural disaster just happened with Riddler, and I feel like he's got more things to worry about
Yes. Yeah.
than a small time wannabe crime lord,
Criminal.
right? Yeah, criminal.
That's trying to make a name for himself. Yeah.
Exactly. And I like how they've included the Falcons and the Maronis. And
yeah, I really like the characters they picked to play the part too.
Oh, absolutely. Clancy Brown was a great choice to play Maroni. I was surprised, but pleasantly surprised to see him in there. The guy they got to play a younger Carmine Falcone, he almost did a better job, I thought, than oh, here we go with me blanking on the actors' names again. I can always picture his face, but sometimes his name escapes me. He's the butler from Mr. Deeds.
John Torado.
Yeah.
Turturro.
Yeah. That's him.
From Transformers.
Right.
He was in Transformers too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was almost better at Carmine Falcone than he was. But go ahead.
I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something. But I really like Sophia. Kristen Milioti, man, she has nailed that role and is fantastic in it. She captures the insanity and the madness of that character just to a T. She perfect casting for that one, for that character.
Well, the thing that's great is, she didn't start out crazy.
Right.
She was made that way. So they made her who she is.
Right. And
that's what's cool.
When they did that episode with her, it's like the whole episode is dedicated to her backstory. At first, I was like, really? They're doing this? And it's like, there's only a certain number of episodes and they're dedicating a whole episode to this, but it turned out to be.
It really makes everything tie together.
It did. It was really fascinating to see what she started as and now what Arkham made her. And I really like the inside look at Arkham. That's another thing in the movies and stuff. Only in, like, I guess the video game Arkham series do you get an inside look at Arkham and just how crazy it is in there, And it's been hinted at in the comics and shows and movies and stuff that crazy stuff goes on in there, and they captured it pretty well. And for them to be corrupt, because I get, Falcone controlled everything, so it would make sense that they were corrupt. And man, it's for him to do that to his own daughter. I'd probably come out the other side just like her too,
Yep. But, and everyone has her labeled as the bad guy, and she wasn't.
Right.
I mean, she's a member of a crime family, but she wasn't.
Yeah, and they had her set up to take over, but yeah, the actress does a great job in that role, and I really like her. I don't know how it's going to turn out because obviously, if they stick to the lore, England's got to win in the end because he, does create his own little crime syndicate. He does establish himself as a crime boss in Gotham.
Yes.
And in most iterations, he does a good job of covering his own tracks and staying off the radar. Is like to the point where the police and even Batman can't really touch him. And I know the most recent video game was Gotham Knights, and I know you can say what you want about that game. I enjoyed it, but excuse me, Penguin, they got to talk to him a few times, and they can't really nail him for anything because he's crossing his T's and dotting his I's, and he's covering his own, what. So, but
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I haven't seen the most recent episode, but I would think that he has got to come out on top by the end of the series because he does raise himself up to being a crime boss.
Yeah. I just like how he plays them.
Yeah, he does have a way to get himself in a mess and then get himself out of it, and the way he's playing both sides of it, and he's definitely playing fast and loose with his own life there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I can't say enough good things about Colin Farrell. I still like I'll be watching it and I'll just forget it's him, and then I'll just remember and just I guess that's the magic of it. That's what he's supposed to do, is make me forget that it's him, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But he's great in it, and this, I feel like sometimes the writing is, I mean, it's not a perfect show by any means, but at the same time it's good. It's better than most of the stuff that's out now. Most of the series about comic books and stuff that's coming out right around now, especially a certain Marvel show about a witch.
Yeah, I tried watching it. It was pretty dumb.
I didn't even bother, and all I could hear was, or all I heard was, once the first episode of Penguin came out, is about how it absolutely destroyed it. And yeah, I'm not even going to bother with that one. It's talk about like when they first said they were doing a show about Penguin, everybody was a little skeptical. I was too, and like, yeah, this is a show nobody really asked for, but Agatha, no, nobody asked for that, or Echo, those were total flops. So I mean, when
Yep.
you do a show nobody asked for with a character that's, I mean, Penguin's well known. Everybody knows who Penguin is, but for him to lead his own, he's always been like a, I don't want to say side character to Batman, but he's a villain, and it's Batman's story, but he's in it. It's not his story. And with him leading his own series, I guess that's what everybody was like, well, where's this going to go? But they've really created something good here with the whole mafia style storyline, and him trying to, everybody's trying to fill that void. It's like like they said at the end of the movie, it's like a power vacuum is going to be created with Falcone dying, and you've got the other gangs too, with the syndicate that they tried to sell the new drugs to. I forget what they're called, but they mentioned a couple other families as well. So they're really creating a extensive underworld in Gotham.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I know this. They said this is going to lead into the next movie, but I don't want a season 2 now. I kind of want this series to keep going.
Yeah, I do too. I like it when they do these series. It's a lot better they did as a series than if it was done as a movie.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's the new way to do it. Things is doing a series in between instead of movies.
Right.
And leave the movie for everything.
Exactly. And have them all tie in together. And speaking of,
and that's how it should have been from the beginning, instead of having all these different shows that never tied any of the movies together, and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And it's great that they use the same characters from the movie to do the show, so it wasn't like a different setup.
Right. And it's not just that they're doing this just as filler content either. It's actually pushing the story forward. It's actually letting us know the state of Gotham right after the events of the movie and what it's leading toward. And I really think, I mean, obviously Penguin has to come out on top because he has to rise to that super villain status for Batman. And I really think he's going to be a force in the, I think they're doing 2 more movies. They said it's going to be a trilogy. He's going to be, I guess he's going to take the place of Falcone moving forward, and he's going to be the guy as far as crime bosses go in Gotham.
Yes.
But as far as like the second movie, we can talk about that in another episode. As far as like what we'd like to see and the villains we'd like to see in it, I know it's been rumored that Hush is going to be in it. I know it's rumored that Joker is going to be in it, and he had that cameo at the end of the first movie. They actually had a scene with him that was cut out of the movie, and then
It looks like they're going to have a lot of the bad guys in it.
yeah,
You know?
and they're bringing in characters that haven't really been in movies before either, like Hush and Clayface, and you've heard some of the other ones. People are upset and don't want Joker, but I mean, I don't know how you can have Batman without Joker.
Yeah, and they're talking about Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, I heard that too. I because this universe is supposed to be more grounded and everything's supposed to be more realistic. So I wonder how they're going to do Mr. Freeze if they do use him.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Penguin goes, it's really kept Gotham City alive as a character and pushed that forward. It's made us really interested in Penguin and made him a sympathetic character where we're actually pulling for him,
Yeah, and I'm sure the Penguin's going to be a major player in the new Batman too, and Batman 2, and I think that's what they're building this up to be. That he's
Absolutely.
going to be the main baddie, and these other guys are just going to be,
I wouldn't mind if they had 2 or 3 main bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying I feel like it's going to be a fight amongst the bad guys mainly.
It
I
could
don't think
be.
they're going to team up yet. I think they're all going to be going against each other,
Right. Kind of
causing
like
problems.
with Penguin and the Falcons and the Maronis, they're all going to be that
Mm-hmm.
power struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But usually they all eventually figure it out and they all have their own turfs in Gotham and they all kind of leave each other alone and go after the Batman when they can. But
Yeah, because I mean, look how big his power has gotten so far.
right. Right. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen to Victor too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Like
saw.
it's his Robin.
Right. Yeah. I saw a comment online. It was like, if only Batman had found him because he's like this innocent, good kid and Penguin finds him and
Well,
now he's like getting into the.
didn't Batman find his one Robin trying to jack wheels off of his car?
Yeah. Jason Todd.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's kind of like they kind of stole that from it, I guess.
They did. I didn't even think of that, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just flip the coin. It could have been Batman that found him and he could have been a Robin, but instead he's going to be Penguin's sidekick. And you can kind of tell he's starting to enjoy it. He's starting to enjoy his new life, new role in the underworld of Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's starting to get that money and power that he never had before, and it's something that he's always, because you said he's like same background as Penguin. He comes from nothing, lost his whole family. Now he has nothing. He's living on the streets, and Penguin finds him and takes him under his wing. So this is he had a good life, and then he lost everything. So for him to start making money, and he's starting to get a little bit of power, and he's gonna rise up with Penguin as he does. So he's really starting to enjoy it. I guess that's unfortunate because, like I said, he was a good kid. And now he's slamming into people with his cars to save his boss. And yeah, so I'll be interested to see what happens with him. I guess he'll be in the movie too. I don't know. See, sometimes when they do the shows, they only bring in like the main character, like Penguin. Now, I'm interested to see if Sophia is going to be in the movies. I guess it depends on what happens with her at the end, with this season. If Sal Maroni is going to be in the movies, if Victor's going to be in it, because if they're going to have that many villains and they're going to have that many characters, it's kind of hard to include all these other people unless they just make like a little cameo,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just, curious to see if the Joker and the Penguin are working together if they're going to be,
Right.
against each other at the beginning, or they come together at the end type thing.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that deleted scene in the Joker, and he seems pretty wild. have you seen it, the deleted scene?
No, I'm going to have to look at it though.
Yeah, do it. It's definitely a different take on the Joker. The guy does pretty good with
Eric
him.
Cohen.
Yep.
Kogan.
Hogan. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. But it's definitely a little different. But at the same time, I think he does a pretty good job. I would like to see more of him before I make my final decision about him as a character, you know? I'd like to see what he can do with it. I mean, everybody's lifted up Heath Ledger, and not to take anything away from him, he's definitely my favorite Joker, and he did a great job. And I don't know if anybody's ever going to top that performance, but at the same time, you know, you can't have Batman without the Joker.
No.
I know a lot
of Joker was always very dark and disturbed. Like,
exactly, they're two sides of the same coin, is how they've always been described, Batman and Joker.
Mhm.
So, you know, I want to see him, because I don't think you can have Batman without Joker. I know I just said that, but I don't think you can. And I know a lot of people want to see other villains, but I think you can include. I really feel like they're trying to include all of them. They did a pretty good job of it in the first movie, by having multiple villains in there, because you had Catwoman, you had Riddler, you had Penguin, you even had, if you want to include him, Falcone.
Yeah,
as,
exactly.
as a villain. So moving forward, if they, I don't know, 3 villains.
Even if they just do spin-off seasons of, like another series with each baddie, that'd be kind of cool too.
It would be. I don't
like
know.
if they did, or even just did like, a couple cameos of them working their way through in something.
Right.
So they're not just like, I like how they're describing Penguin. I like getting the character base story figured out before they're the main baddie.
Right.
So if they were to do something like that with like the Joker and Catwoman and stuff like that, it would make a little more sense, because you get a good backstory to them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. I know this one's going to lead into the next movie, and then it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do between movies 2 and 3. But I think the third one's going to be it. So, I heard that they're going to do a Clayface spinoff. Those are the rumors, though. It's not confirmed, so we'll see. I don't know how that would work. Honestly, I didn't know how the Penguin would work, but I love it and I want more of it. So they've done a really good job with it. I'm really excited to see how it's going to turn out in these last few episodes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to get better. And that's the thing I like. It just keeps getting better.
I know, they keep ramping it up. So this next episode's better. The last episode I saw was when they moved his mother to the abandoned part of Gotham where Victor used to live, and they set up shop in the old, not subway tunnels, was it like old trolley tunnels or something like that? They found they're basically underground.
Yes.
The old underground train station, and they took the mushrooms down there.
Yep.
But
yeah, it just this episode brings a lot more light too.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I'll be watching
That's all I'm gonna say.
Watch them both this weekend. But yeah,
that's all I gotta say for the night.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. But if you haven't watched The Penguin, I'd definitely recommend watching it, because it's really good. The writing, the acting, everything.
You will not be disappointed.
No, not at all. Especially if you like comics and you like The Sopranos. It's kind of a mixture of that, and I'm all for it.
Uh-huh.
But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode.